friends. How are you doing today? I'm doing okay. I'm in a bit of a weird setup, I realise this. I'm in a bit of a weird space, let's be real about this. The whole world's in a bit of a weird space. We're kind of drifting through the cosmic tyranny. It's perhaps how Terry Pratchett might word it, if, if I had that kind of skill. But you need a little bit of an update. I feel like you need a little bit of an update. So in previous video said, this one's for you. It's nobody else, just you. You need to pay attention right now. Whereas this one's for me. And Graham, you need to pay attention right now, because not only is this the second time we've had to do this, but this one's for you. This one's mainly for me. It might help other people. Who knows? I don't pretend to know the world or how it works or how to get through it in a reasonable way. If you can hear noise on the podcast recording, it is because I am currently creating whilst I podcast. Apologies, I am giving you my full attention. I am just also wanting to get on with things. We'll get more of that later discussion as we move through this. But, as I say, this one's for me. This one's more about me. This one's, extremely personal, extremely taking shots at myself, which, I don't do. I don't do that. I'm extremely kind to myself. I don't know if you noticed. I'm loving to myself. I care for myself greatly. I take care of myself completely, and no one else can question that. I mean, you can. You all know I'm being sarcastic. If you know this by now, you know that one thing is that I'm sarcastic. Sarcastic? Sarcastic. You gotta really land on the A. If you're gonna do sarcasm, you need to really land on the A. I'm putting that out now as my instruction to you from a British man, that if you're doing sarcasm, you need to really land on the A in sarcasm, right? Sarcasm, and the other A as well, because otherwise you could end up in all kinds of isms, which you don't want to be in. I've got distracted already. Hello, friends, comrades. As I say, I don't really know how I am right now. We're actually going through a bit of a change. So long story short, I had a fall recently, about 3 weeks ago, I'm going to actually say, which was, 3 weeks ago at time of recording. In that fall, I injured myself in quite a dramatic way. I managed to sprain both my arms and give myself a fracture of the radial head. If you don't know, the radial head, as I have learnt through this process, because I don't know my body inside, I just know what's on the outside. There's a lot deeper moment there you could have had, but no, we're talking physicality. I know my body on the outside mostly. Occasionally there's a freckle which appears, and I'm like, where the hell did you come from? Well, it doesn't matter, we'll name you Jeffrey, and we'll keep going. Either way, the radial head is a bone which sits within your elbow and is connected to all things which control the forearm and hand and all the things which you want to use in your day-to-day basis. So it's not great to give that fracture. You will notice if you're on the video portion of this episode that I am not wearing a cast. I am very grateful to not have to wear a cast. It was my main concern when I first got injured. So, what does this mean? Well, what this means is that I have about 8 to 10 weeks of physical therapy to go through. And, alright, fly. And I'm learning a lot of things, and I don't have full mobility in my arms right now, which is why you will also notice, if you're watching the video portion of this, that I am being quite careful with what I do. And the reason I'm being quite careful with what I do is because every so often my arm likes to flinch, and then when it flinches, it causes me discomfort and pain. So, why do I bring this up? Well, I bring this up once. I mean, I could have brought this up earlier, but my bruises are mostly healed now, which is great. It's good news. It's a good progression on. Graham, you listening? It's good progression on. You need to be paying attention to that progression as you move forward. But what does that really mean? Well, what that really means is I could have brought this up earlier, but in some ways I kind of thought not to. I wasn't going to mention it at all because in many ways I thought to myself, being the egotistical maniac that I am, that I'd be fine. I stood up and said I'd be fine. I took a hard fall. I fell off a curb onto cobblestone. And I stood up and I shook my arms and I thought, ooh, that didn't feel right. And I was with some friends and I was like, okay, play it cool, Graham. We're good. We'll be fine. We'll be fine. I went to dinner. I did. I literally went to dinner. I decided I'll go to dinner. We'll see how we feel. I'll wash the blood off. There was a little bit of blood, a bit of scabbing of my elbow and my forearm, and I'll be fine. It'll be great. Don't worry about it. It'll be awesome. Next day, and I left dinner. I did. I was like, I'm not feeling this. My arm's a bit shakier than it should be. So I went, okay, I'll go home, and I'll rest up. I'll ice my wounds, and next day be right as rain. Probably be a bit achy, achy and bruised. Long story short, a week later, I've got a bruise the size of my arm, and I can't lift my arms above my head. So it was a bit of a moment for me. Is how I would word it. Bit of a moment for me. But why does this need to be said? Well, it needs to be said, Graham, and remember, I am talking to him, not to yourselves, that when you face frustration, you end up in the same cycle time and again. And frankly, it is annoying. As the other part of you, as this part of you. Because let's be real about it, this, whilst it is a huge amount of my own personality, it is also a persona. This isn't how I am on the day-to-day. This isn't how I engage with the world. Because I have respect for the rest of the world. And I understand that the rest of the world has their own stuff going on. And I just don't want to overshadow that. People have lives. People have a lot of stuff going on which you don't know about. And I respect that. So usually there's a back and forth. It's not just me talking for 30 minutes. But this version of you, Graham, I wasn't particularly happy. And I think he wasn't particularly happy because you knew all this information. You knew everything I've just said. You knew you'd done some serious damage to yourself. You knew that it wasn't going to heal overnight. But you still ended up in this little pit of despair and thought where you were thinking to yourself, this is the worst thing in the world. This is the worst thing in the world. There's people dying in literal genocides right now. And this is the thing you're upset about, that you can't move your arms. And I get it. It takes away from things. It takes away from all the things your personal joy involves. It takes away from the cathartic acts which allow you to function as a day-to-day human being. And it takes away from all of that. But it is not the most important thing in the world. It was just the most important thing in the world to you at that time. So, get over it. I don't mean that. That's not what I mean. That would be a stupid way to do this podcast. It would be stupid of me to sit here and go, you're not allowed to feel bad for yourself. The bad thing happened. What I'm here to tell you is that it's okay to feel bad for yourself when bad things happen. That's the premise, right? That's the view of the world. That's also the thing I feel like you're not getting when we end up in these situations. Because look at us now. We have recovered. We have felt bad for ourselves. We have gotten past that. We have moved through that. It still happens on occasion. I get frustrated. I swore at my arms 3 times yesterday. It's a strange thing to swear at part of your own body. I do often wonder if other people do this. I give a lot of personality to inanimate objects around me and in my day-to-day space. And I've started doing that to other parts of myself. Like, recently with the arms, one of my arms wouldn't straighten. I didn't have... So the lack of mobility is that, one of my arms wouldn't straighten. It wouldn't do as it was told, essentially. And that's the phrase I used. It wouldn't do as it's told. Because this is not a conversation, right? This isn't a back and forth body. Body, you're going to do as you're told, is the mentality which I take with a lot of things. Mostly myself. Brain, body, you're going to do as you're told. And then what happens? Body rebels. It has a moment of realization and it says, no, Graham. You are not in charge here. You're only semi in charge here. Your consciousness is only in charge up to a certain extent, and then you have to accept that the other extent is run by everything else within you. If you don't accept that, you're going to eventually need more help than you already probably need. But you know, say love you. But we have the same conversation every time, Green. We do. We have the same conversation every time, and we think to ourselves, oh, and we get frustrated, and we get annoyed, and we get upset. And I'm not saying it's not okay to. I'm not saying it's okay. I'm not saying you shouldn't be frustrated and annoyed and upset. If anything, I'm saying it'd be great if you just accepted that part of being and lived with it for a little bit, because that's really all you need to do. I was chatting to a friend of mine, and we were talking about how people handle situations like this. And I've always had this thought in my brain. Should something tragic really happen to me, I have the skills to handle that. And the skills I'm talking about are the things which I tell people not to do, like disassociation and being able to turn off and emotionally abandoning myself, because we can keep going because we understand the world and we can logic our way through things. We do on a regular basis. And that's how we survive. And we have the skills to survive. But we were talking to a friend of mine, and I was talking to him about how, I'm struggling. I'm struggling with things. I'm not able to do the things I want to do. I'm making all kinds of changes in my day-to-day life. I'm, struggling to put a t-shirt on in the morning sometimes, because getting my arms over my head is a challenge. It's something which I'm fighting against. And that's the word I use, fighting against it, because I'm not respecting the 50% of my body which is in control. Because I have to outsmart it. Right? That's what you do. You're faced with a situation, body doesn't do what you want it to do, and then you go, I gotta outsmart this. I gotta logic my way through this. I gotta fix the problem, because the problem is me, and therefore, if I fix the problem, I'm smarter and I'll survive longer. Doesn't work like that, does it, Graham? By the way, the logic I used was, if I can't draw in the way that I want, or as often as I want, because I shouldn't be using my wrists probably as much as I have been, I'm going to do 30 days of bass. I'm going to strengthen my fingers. That seems like a good idea. I can't work out. I can't go to the gym as I have been. So I'll strengthen my fingers. To hell with strengthening my core and my biceps. I'm going to have the world's strongest fingers. I'm going to make Les Claypool proud. And my friend said to me, that's great, Graham. You're doing great things. Because what you've done is, you've taken something which is a challenge and a struggle, and you've turned it into something productive. Haven't I? Yes, Graham. That's what you did. Because that's what you always do. And then, what did you do when you were playing bass? Your muscles kept spasming. And you found yourself struggling. And then you got annoyed with yourself. Because your plan hadn't worked as you expected it to. Your plan hadn't gone. You hadn't managed to outsmart yourself in that instance. No. You tried. Your body fought back. I thought the lesson I was learning at the time was, well, it's okay that I can't do the thing which I wanted to do at the time. Because there's this other thing which I've been wanting to do, which will replace it, We'll give it space. It's alright. It's, reasonable that this is happening, because there's this extra thing which I wanted to do. And then I couldn't do the extra thing either. I got annoyed with myself again. And I think that's what we need to talk about. Is the annoyance of self. And I think a lot of artists deal with this. A lot of everybody deals with this. The annoyance of self and understanding that it's not so much that you need to forgive yourself, but sometimes the moment you're learning isn't the one you intended to be learning. The moment you're doing anything might not be the thing you're intending to do. You sat down and said to yourself, oh, oh no, I can't make cheesecake because I'm out of cheese. That's a weird reference. Can't bake this because I'm out of that, And I think to myself, well, yeah, but... And then you decide to make something else. Maybe that something else isn't the way it should be in your head. Maybe that something else is also not on the table. You end up in that little cycle of learning once again. So I think I'm making this video as a reminder of self. Because as I say, I have this conversation often. When I get sick, catch a cold, sinus infection, whatever. I think to myself, I can't do anything. So frustrated, I can't do anything. Can't do the things I want to do. My brain's active, but my body's betraying me. And then we get sad. And then we think to ourselves, we're a failure. We're not doing the things. Doing the things and stuff. Going places and doing things, minion. That's a reference which nobody will get. So based on a TikTok account I follow. Go things, do stuff, minion? That's the one I'd love to get on the podcast. And I'm thinking to myself, all those dark thoughts. And how am I ever going to recover from this? I'll never financially recover from this. As they say. And then a couple of weeks later, we're past it. We've learned the lesson. We've had the firm words with oneself. And we have grown. But we haven't grown, have we? Because like I say, next time this happens, we'll be back here. Arguing with myself once again. So this is just a permanent argument, really. With myself more than anything else. This is one for the books. This is one to sit there and say, hey, maybe we can bypass this. Yeah. Because what have I done since, realizing this? How have I combated that? Couldn't do the bass thing I wanted to do. I am still doing the bass thing I wanted to do. I'm using it as a way of performing physical therapy. But, the initial instance, what can we do? Well, essentially what it meant was that I took another idea, which I'd been meaning to work on, and kind of on the back burner for a little bit. I decided to progress that. And that's a project I put on the back burner because it involves other people. It involves all these other faces and thoughts and feelings and challenges and ways of working. And it takes them into account and it says, hey, you don't often collaborate. You don't. And you don't because you work very quickly. I don't know if you noticed this, but I do. When I create something, it takes me about a week. I covered this in the perspective video somewhat. Once I lock into an idea, the idea tends to come. It tends to grow. And it's usually done within a week. Because I get it out of my head. I gotta get it out of my head. Otherwise it'll eat me. Eat me day and night. This one will take time. Take process. Take some level of thought to get through. And in doing so, maybe we'll learn some skills along the way. Maybe we'll learn to work with people. I think I even said this in a live show at one point. It doesn't work well with others. So what's my real message here, Graham? If you're still listening to this, is that the lessons you learn are not the lessons you always get to pick. Yeah. I know we long since accepted we can't control the world. And we put in all of these factoids and rules and things like that which help us navigate life, live a more mindful life. But in doing that, you ended up in this loop cycle. This loop cycle which you don't seem to recognize until you've been through it once again. So maybe next time we're in this loop cycle, we can build from it. We can not skip it completely, as I say. Frustration is natural. These feelings are natural. But maybe you can offer yourself some guidance. This bad habit of being told I'm quite good at giving advice. And then I never think people should take my advice because, have you met me? I'm an idiot. I don't think that's being mean to myself. I actually think that's just factual. Genuinely, I think I'm not the smartest egg. I'm just, a regular egg, as it were. But we shall see. We'll see if this works. We'll see if this sits and does what it's meant to do. And if we grow from this. To anyone who does the same, you end up in these situations where things are out of your control and you're facing frustration, and rather than cycling through that frustration and realizing that there will be things you can learn from it, you don't get to choose what you learn from it at the time of frustration. At the time of frustration, you get to learn that these things happen and you can move through them. And you're going to learn something. We always learn something from these situations. And there's light at the end of the tunnel. Essentially. But until we get to that stage, until you learn that lesson, Graham, you're going to keep going through that. You're going to keep waking up, beating yourself up over things, pushing yourself too fast, too quickly, because impatience, such a patient person you are, impatience is built within you. There's a family trait we have, which I've also been thinking about a lot recently, for various reasons, is that we're stubborn and persistent. When we get an idea in our head, we chase it. Why do we chase it? Every single member of my family does it. Both sides. Something I'm quite proud of. But it leads to situations like this, where we're giving ourselves talks on the internet. These things move through. Lessons are learned. And I'll talk to you guys later.